Hello, everybody. Paul here. How you doing? Hope you're well. First, let me start out by saying that I just wanted to say a really heartfelt thank you to all the people who responded so enthusiastically to the announcement I made yesterday that the International Conference on Men's Issues 15, that's our second international conference on men's issues, will be held in Houston, Texas, my home, at the end of October. That's the last weekend of October, Halloween weekend. And we are very much looking forward to it, looking forward to seeing a lot of new faces and old faces. But we're all really pumped and excited about that around here. We had a blast, a great time, even with all the chaos at the last conference. We expect things to run smoother and be even better at this one. So thanks for that, and more info on the site, by the way. I'll put a link in the low bar. Also in the low bar will be a link to a donation drive that we have taken up, we are taking up for Dean Esmay to help with his dental work. John Hembley, just not too long ago, made a very compassionate and warm appeal to me to help Dean with his dental work.
Be a decent person for 5 minutes in your life and pay for Dean's goddamn tooth.
And, you know, John really has a good idea. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that John has a lot of good ideas.
Give Palestine nuclear weapons.
Well, maybe not all of them, but really some good ideas. And this is one. Also, I know that John, either John or his wife, sent a donation of $100 Canadian directly to Dean. To help with his dental work, and put a very nice note in the subject line that said, "Fix your tooth, motherfucker." And I mean, it's that kind of compassion that I want to try to step up the game on here. We do want to help Dean very much, and he does. I mean, if anybody deserves it, he does. He deserves it more than I do, more than a lot of people, because Dean has sacrificed himself in so many ways that people will never know, and he's gotten nothing out of it except, you know, what all MRAs get out of it, which is a hard time from feminists and even some within our own ranks. But this is a time that I think that we can all step up. I'm going to be making a $500 donation to the fund for Dean's tooth. As soon as we get started here, I'm going to put that in. I would like to ask all of you if you would help with that too. There is details, another link in the low bar as to what exactly is needed. And just to let everybody know in advance that none of this money is going to ABFM at all, is going directly to Dean Esmay so that he can complete the dental work that he so badly needs. And as a matter of fact, he's even made a very interesting promise or pledge of something interesting and unexpected, I have to say, that he is going to do if we meet goal in this for him and help this guy take care of business with his dental work. This is not just a matter of physical appearance or aesthetics, but it's also a matter of his health. So I'm hoping we can make this happen. And now I'm going to turn you over to Dean, and after that you're going to hear from some other people. I'm not going to have anything left to say in this video except thank you all in advance for those of you who helped. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. By the way, that's my patented phrase. I've noticed some of you other YouTubers stealing it lately. All kidding aside, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So it's come to my attention in the last week or two that the Sid Barrett of the men's human rights movement, John Hembley, has decided to publicly shame and mock me, along with some other people, some of them supposedly MGTOW, although I don't accept that they are representative of the MGTOW community at large, have decided it is time to embarrass both me, my family, and A Voice for Men by supposedly offering to raise money to fix my missing tooth. Now, I'm going to give you a little story about this missing tooth. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it is a result of blunt trauma. And I have actually lived with this missing tooth for more than a decade. and just got used to it being missing. Although, of course, for more than a decade, I have also not had the money to get the tooth fixed, but I also had other financial priorities, including things like child support and medical bills for my kids, for my wife. Oh, yes, I'm married. I must be a slave, right? And it was just never my priority. I had mentioned the missing tooth once in on a televised debate with a feminist, merely pointing out the hypocrisy of me, a blue-collar guy, by the way, who, his whole life, well, for most of his life, has worked for an hourly wage, not, some tenured college professor with really rich benefits, and mentioned the grand irony of her pretending to be, some poor oppressed victim when I, could look up and see what her professor's salary was and what their generous compensation package looked like, and was just trying to make a point about how feminists are frequently rich, pampered, spoiled women living the easy life, and just pointed out how silly it was. Look at me, I'm not even able to afford to fix this tooth, which dental work is expensive, in case you didn't know it, at least here in the U.S. But here she was trying to shame me for not making enough, for the failures that we see throughout our economy, with men suffering the worst unemployment, the highest homelessness rates, and so on. Maybe that was a cheap shot at her I shouldn't have made. I don't know. It was very spur of the moment. What I found interesting about that is that it kept zinging around. I've never really cared that I'm missing this tooth. Not much, anyway. I always had higher priorities, and I've never made that much money, especially when trying to provide for my family. I could just live with it. It didn't bug me much. Then at the International Conference on Men's Issues, I had a guy named Kevin. I won't mention his last name, but he came up to me and said, I don't tell many people, but I'm very wealthy, and I'd like to pay to fix your tooth. And I said, thank you, that's very generous, but it's cool. And he's, no, give me a number. How much? I'm like, no, I don't know. Last time I looked, it was, roughly 1,500, 2,000. Let me get back to you on that. And I was going to let him go, because the truth of the matter is, I've always routinely refused compensation for what I do. I do this out of love and passion, and yes, sure, it gives me a thrill to help people, and sure, I like being a somewhat noted public figure. I like being out there, mixing it up and scrapping with people, doing the radio shows, the video shows, and etc. And it just didn't feel right. We're dealing with, in the particular case of AVFM, we frequently get involved directly and indirectly in people's legal cases before the courts, some of which we can tell you about and some of which we can't. We've put on conferences, which, whatever you want to believe, those conferences that we've thrown into both conferences we were part of in 2014 cost us money. They did not generate any profits. They were net money revenue losers, but it's too bad. They were important. Going to various events to cover them, like going to places like Dayton and stuff like that. I've accepted expense reimbursements, but the bottom line is there were always higher priorities, and including higher priorities when it comes to my own kids. I'm not here to go into a sob story about them, but there's health problems there. There was just always more important priorities, and I never wanted to make this shit about me. Interestingly enough, at the ICMI, this guy Kevin was very persistent and kept coming up to me and saying he really wanted to do it. And I was like, it was making me a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, I understood the spirit he was giving it in. And I just said, let me get back to you. Last time I asked the dentist, it was somewhere around, I think, 1,500 or 2,000. But I'll just get back to you. I'll get back to you. And I walked away. And a few minutes later, he walks up to me and he thrusts a check at me for, it was like a little over $2,000, and said, please just take this and get it fixed. I'm like, at this point, I would look like a dick to say no. So I took the ticket, I reached out, I gave him a big hug, I said, thank you very much. I stuck it in my pocket, and that was all she wrote, at least at that point. I wound up going to the dentist. It had been a while. The dentist determined that I needed work on both these surrounding teeth. It also turned out I needed a root canal on a back tooth. I had some other problems, and it was going to be well over that estimate for just an implant for this tooth. And the other work was more important. In fact, I was told if I didn't get a root canal thing or an extraction done back here, and I wound up with both one extracted tooth and a root canal on another, that I could get a heart attack and die, and I really needed to fix that. And I needed to prioritize that, and I needed to fix the trauma-related damage to these two side teeth before we could do anything about this center one. Now the center one here, I'm not going to sit here like a horse and show you my teeth so you can say, oh, how is he healthy? But I do have a titanium bolt implant in there, foreign implant in there now, thanks to Kevin's generous donation. And between my mediocre dental insurance and what I was able to afford, well, I got as much work as I could done with it. And then I figured this year I'd save up more money and I'd get the work finished. At this point, it looks like it's going to be about $3,000 to finish and complete the work that I started last year. And hopefully by that point, which I had figured would be by summer, I would have all the needed dental work done. Got to get the crown for this, put on the titanium bolt, pay the dentist a little more that I still owe them. There's some other work in the back of the mouth that still also needs to be done. Whatever. What's fascinating is that for whatever reason, that check that I never asked for from Kevin, one other supposed MGTOW, got online. Uncle Bern, thanks for being such a jerk. I never earned it from you, but whatever. Started mocking me for accepting money and being a beggar asking for money for my tooth, which, by the way, I never did. And now John Hembling, our Sid Barrett, has gone on to now try to make a public humiliation out of me because I've never come forth and asked anybody to help me with my teeth. I've never prioritized that. I've had bigger issues to deal with, and I've always frankly thought other people needed more help. Well, at this point, I'm a little annoyed. So is my wife, my supposed slave master wife, who, you know, when we got together, I was worth nothing. But we have supported each other through thick and thin. There have been times when she was out of work that I was supporting her. There were times I was out of work, she was supporting me. We've been that, you know, thing that supposedly never happens, a real team. She's pissed. She feels like our privacy's been invaded. She's been publicly humiliated as well as me because supposedly I, you know, won't take care of this teeth, or now I'm supposedly a public beggar. But I've said, fuck it. I've worked for 2-3 years now on A Voice for Men on my advocacy work. I've routinely refused compensation. I've taken a whole lot of abuse from a whole lot of people, not just feminists, but other supposed men rights activists that I never asked for. Screw it. I'll take it. Help me fix the tooth. I got an estimate for the dentist for what it takes to complete the rest of the work, including the cost of the crown, and the money, the back money I still owe for the other work, and some of the work I still need. It's going to be just under $3,000 with PayPal fees and all that. I'll take it. I'll just freaking take it. My wife has a message that she has written up on it, on what this all looks like from her experience, and I'll offer you all a bonus. You help me get this dental work done, so I can for once be selfish. And what I'll also do is, if we make goal, see this long hair? It's actually very long hair, right? In fact, if I pull it over my head, it goes all the way over my shin. You know what I'll do? I will cut this into a crew cut and donate all of this hair to Locks of Love. And I will furthermore shave my beard down to do a nice trimmed kind of goatee thing, sort of like Danny did. So you help me make the goal of $3,000. Locks of Love gets this head of hair. The beard gets trimmed down to a nice little goatee kind of thing. And you get to see what I look like with a nice smile and a haircut. And no more neck beard, at least for now. Not promising never to grow it back, but that's what I'll do. So there's my offer. Play the shaving game all you want. I'm saying yes. I'm cashing in. I've done 3 years of work on this crap. You want to force me into a public confrontation? Here it is. I'll take your money. How much are you good for? That's all I got. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sage, the Collegiate Activism Director of A Voice for Men. I've worked with the Operations Manager, Dean Esmay, for about 2 years now, and he's proven to be one of the most outstanding advocates for men and boys I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. He's an outstanding speaker, an outstanding writer, and he's sacrificed a lot for the men's rights community. If you're willing to give back, you can contribute just one morning's coffee to make sure that Dean Esmay can get the dental work he needs and to promote his health and his continued involvement in the men's rights movement. Thank you so much.
Hi everybody, I'm Janet Bloomfield. I'm the social media director at A Voice for Men. As most of you know, or at least I hope you know, A Voice for Men runs on the time and efforts of a huge group of volunteers. We do this work because we know if we don't, no one will. The mainstream media has been ignoring the issues of men and boys for 40 years. They'll be happy to ignore them for 40 more years unless we stand up and make our voices heard. Of all the volunteers here at A Voice for Men, one in particular stands out, our managing editor, Dean Esmay. Dean is the first point of contact for almost all new people who come into A Voice for Men. He is unfailingly patient, unfailingly kind, unfailingly generous with his time as he takes us through our roles and teaches us what we need to do to contribute to this ongoing enterprise. This fundraiser is an opportunity for all of us to say thank you. To say thank you to Dean for his time, for his effort, for his patience, for his generosity, for being one of the voices in this movement that inspire so many others. I hope that you will join us in this fundraiser to thank Dean, and in thanking Dean, in making this happen for Dean, you thank all of us.
Yes, men are good, and so is Dean Esmay. Dean's asking for a little bit of help, and you know what? I'm more than happy to pitch in, and I hope you are too.